It's Sunday, April 7th, 2019. As we approach all-time highs in these markets, which I believe this week we are going to witness all-time highs taking place in these markets. And we are going to witness the power and influence that the central banks have and how they're doing everything they can to make sure that these markets do not fail. I made a couple notes. I want to go over these notes this afternoon right now with you and talk about why these markets are where they're at, why I believe they're propped up, why I believe they're rigged, manipulated, fake, injected, and not real. This is an illusion, and people are getting sucked into the illusion, and people are getting complacent because they're watching TV, they're buying into the hype, they're seeing these markets go up, and they believe everything is okay when in reality it's not. Since 2010, corporate demand for shares has far exceeded demand from all investor categories combined. We look at net buybacks for all U.S. equities averaged $420 billion annually during the past 9 years, while the annual equity demand from households, mutual funds, pension funds, and foreign investors was less than $10 billion for each category. Buybacks represented the largest source of equity demand. Now ask yourself this: without buybacks, where would these markets be? If these corporations couldn't borrow cheap money and buy their own stocks back, where would these markets be? These markets would be obliterated. Again, we're witnessing a fake market. This is an illusion. This is completely artificial. And without these buybacks, this market would be nowhere near where it is right now. This market would disintegrate without corporate buybacks. There's been an interesting article that's been floating around the internet on a lot of the economic sites. And see if you can see this. America's wealthiest households have record cash on hand. This was a really interesting article. The top 1% were holding less than $15 billion in cash before the recession that took place in 2008. At the end of 2018, in December, when we lost 20% of the market, after 2018, after the end of 2018, these same 1% are now holding $303 billion in cash, okay? To be exact, it's $303.9 billion of cash that the top 1% that your elite are holding. You know, as I've always said, the masses lose. Don't follow the herd. They're going to take you right off a cliff. Do what the 1% are doing. Do what the elite are doing. What do these people, what do these 1% know that you don't? Why are they holding so much cash? Why are they pulling cash out of these markets and holding cash while the masses are getting back into these markets? We seem to be witnessing a real contradiction here between the markets and reality. There's a list here I'm going to go over of 14 reasons why this economy is not healthy, why we are not heading in a positive, but yet we're heading in a very negative direction, why we're seeing warning signs. These are the warning signs telling us that this economy is not healthy, that there is danger ahead, and you need to be awake to the facts. And so I'm going to go over some statistics with you of why this economy is not healthy and why these markets should not be where they're at, and why they're so detached from reality. Job claims are rising at the fastest rate in 10 years. This article's been floating around too. But I mean, this is no secret. This is what's really happening. And we're going to continue to see more of this. U.S. businesses are adding jobs at the slowest pace in 18 months. Not good news. GM, Ford, Nissan, Fiat, Chrysler all reported sales declines of at least 5% on a year-over-year basis this past March. Tesla deliveries are down 31% in the first quarter of 2019. Consumer confidence fell more than 7% in March. Yet, we're going to see record highs in the stock market this week. Manhattan real estate sales have now fallen 6 straight quarters. That is the longest streak in 30 years in Manhattan, the epicenter. Again, not good news for the economy. London real estate sales just dropped by the most we have seen in 10 years. The owner of Kay Jewelers, Zales and Jarrett Jewelers, I think that's Signet. I think it's a company called, or a corporation called Signet. They've announced that they will close another 150 stores this year. Now, I continue to hear people saying that, it's Amazon that's killing retail. I don't know anybody that is buying diamonds, diamond rings, diamond bracelets, expensive jewelry on the internet. I think for the most part, people actually go in and physically look, touch, and feel jewelry. So I don't think internet sales have much to do with what is happening in the jewelry industry now. Retail layoffs are up 92% from last year. These are just staggering numbers. U.S. freight shipment volume has fallen for the last 3 months in a row. So shipping is down, retail's down, people are not spending as much. Inventory to sales ratio in the U.S. has risen sharply for 5 months in a row. Almost half of the renters in the United States of America spend more than 30% of their income on rent. The real median net income for Minnesota farmers was $26,055 in 2018, and this is before the flood hit. We are going to see a spike in food prices, agriculture, beef coming to these markets this year because the amount of grain that has been lost, the amount of livestock that's been lost, and so many of these fields are so flooded out, they're not going to be able to grow crops this year. So we're going to see, I believe, very high prices at the grocery stores coming very soon. The U.S. economic numbers, we are off to the worst start since 2008. And so yet, the stock market continues to drive, yet in reality, in real life, the economy, the consumer, the average person here in America, the middle class, the lower middle class, people who are living in poverty, they are struggling. Everybody is struggling. Today, gas in my area here in Southern California at the desert is $3.67, and it may be going up. It seems like every day it's going up. For the person who, has a couple kids, who is making $26,000 a year, every time it goes up at the pump, it is affecting their life. And so it's a nickel here, a dime there. It's adding up, and people are feeling the squeeze. The March job numbers looked a lot better than February, but a lot of this is service sector based. And when I was out over the weekend, I couldn't even believe how many cars I saw with Lyft stickers, Uber stickers, and it's like how many people now are, their main employment is driving people in their cars for Lyft or Uber. I mean, yeah, they're working, but what are these people really making? I haven't talked to anybody that works for Lyft or Uber who really feels like they're successful or that they're really making an incredible living. When I talk to these people, they just tell me how bad it is because so many other people are doing it. There's so much competition that they just said that, everybody's eating up every slice of the pie because so many people are forced to do this now because they're not making enough at maybe their main job. So now they're taking on a second job working for Uber or Lyft and still not making enough to get by, just barely getting by. So these are the type of jobs that we're seeing in America, jobs that are paying $10 or $15 an hour, people working for Uber and Lyft, trying to supplement their income because their main job isn't paying them enough. And we're just seeing people really becoming more and more desperate. Again, the news is not good. We're going to continue to see things like this. Getting back to some of what's happening in retail, we talked about Kay Jewelers, Jarrett Jewelers, Signet Jewelers. owns K Jewelers, they own Zales, they own Jared. They closed 262 stores last year. They are now going to be closing another 150 stores this year, as I've said earlier. But something else I want to talk about is another jewelry chain called Samuel's Jewelers. Samuel's Jewelers has been around, I believe, about 112 years. They're done. They're closing all 256 stores. They filed bankruptcy. They owed Wells Fargo $84 million. They were in debt of over $100 million. Wells Fargo is not going to allow them to file bankruptcy, I believe. And so what they're going to do is they're just going to take whatever assets they can, the properties, the stores, inventory, whatever, however this is going to play out. But at the end of the day, Samuel's Jewelers will be closing all 256 stores. And my question is, how does a retailer like Samuel's get into a debt of over $100 million? Again, I believe this is because money was cheap. These retailers borrowed a massive amount of money, maybe opening up more stores than they should have. And business has slowed down. They can't pay these debts back. And so we're seeing all these retail jewelry stores folding now. So again, this is just a reflection of what is happening in real life. Not a reflection of what's happening on Wall Street, that's for sure. Wall Street is completely detached from the real economy now. This is what's happening. You're seeing your malls closing down. You're seeing those retail strip centers closing down. You're seeing the mom and pop stores closing down. And it will continue to get much worse. Article came out this weekend on Zero Hedge. Class 8 heavy truck orders crashed 66% in March. So again, this is just a reflection of the economy, of what's happening in retail. Big trucks, these big semi trucks, the orders have crashed in March. We're seeing less and less need. Transportation of goods is slowing down, and we're going to see less and less need for as many trucks when we have less retailers out there. When more retailers are going out of business, there's less places to ship to. There's going to be less food to be shipping. So there are going to be less truck orders. So again, while the stock market is driving and breaking records, the real economy is suffering. The real economy is showing massive signs of recession. Another article this weekend on Zero Hedge. Americans had to borrow $88 billion to cover their medical bills last year. This country is in so much trouble. We are acquiring so much debt. People living off credit cards, people spending over 30% of their income on rent, $88 billion for medical bills. Again, as I've asked many times, what happens when they can no longer cover this up? What happens when we actually meet that slowdown, when that recession hits America? If these are the good times right now, if this is a flourishing economy, what is going to happen when this slowdown hits America? I think this is really going to be a scary time in America. And again, a time where you must be prepared. And the time to prepare is right now, not tomorrow, not after it happens. It'll be too late. The time to prepare for what's coming is right now, because I think most of you will agree this is getting very close. So I'm going to close this video out, but in closing, I want to say a few things. There was a comment a couple days ago by some douchebag, and he said that I'm peddling fear, talking about the end of the world, fear mongering, that these are the most prosperous times in America, and that, if I don't like it here in America, I should leave. Well, if there's a problem with your country or even your state, your town, sometimes some people don't just run and leave. They stay they fight, they try to make change. Just because America is in trouble doesn't mean we're going to run and leave it. We're patriots. We're here. We're going to stay here. I would never leave America no matter how bad it got, because this is my country. I believe it's worth fighting for. I believe it's worth standing up for. I believe it's worth waking people up for. But there are douchebags out there that believe that we are in the most prosperous times. There are people out there that are not the brightest people who believe that what they're watching on the fake news, what they're watching in the media is real. What is happening is very dangerous for this country. I'm not going to leave the country. I'm not going to run away from the problem. I'm not going to shut up. I'm making these videos because I am very concerned about America. I'm very concerned about everybody out there. I worry about my fellow Americans. I worry about the future of this country. This is why I tell people, to buy stuff like this. I don't sell precious metals. I don't sell silver. I don't sell gold. There is a link below from SD Bullion. If you're a new buyer to SD Bullion and you use the link, they do make a donation to the channel. But I do not work for them. I don't care where you buy precious metals from. I just believe truly that you should have some precious metals. Now, I'm not telling you to put all your money in precious metals, but I'm just sharing with you what I believe is the right thing to do and what I do. You know me, I walk the walk. I believe in security, training. That's why I, shoot videos at the range of training, shooting, because I believe it's the number one asset you can have. That's why I share with you that, I purchase this stuff right here. Again, I do not work for anybody. I do not sell precious metals. I don't care if you buy precious metals or you don't. If you do, as I've said many times, I've bought from multiple different places. I've bought a majority of my metals physically, walk in, pay for it, and walk out with it. So I don't care where you buy it from. There are many good options out there. There's many good places online. There's pawn shops, there's coin dealers, there's multiple places you can buy this. I just believe it's important that you have this. But to the people who say that this is fear mongering, this is the end of the world, this is not the end of the world. That's why I'm telling you to buy precious metals, because it is not the end of the world. If it was the end of the world, I would just tell you to dig a hole and get ready to die. I would just tell you to quit. But we're in a fight here. We're in a spiritual fight of good versus evil here. And I truly believe for the people who are prepared for these events that are coming in the future, I believe if you are prepared, you're going to prosper. And I believe if you're holding real money, when this all comes to an end, I believe the people with real money are going to prosper. So I truly don't believe it's the end of the world. I don't believe in fear mongering. I believe in being awake. I believe in waking people up. The people that are going to be fearful are the people who are unprepared and not ready for these events coming. These are the people who are going to be living in a nightmare. These are going to be the people who are going to be living in fear 24 hours a day, because they don't know where their next meal is going to come from. They're going to have no money. They're not going to be prepared with security. They're not going to be prepared for a changing environment. And this is why it's so adamant, why I'm so adamant that you are preparing for these things and getting into a mindset that you are going to see changing environments. Your environment can change overnight. And so we can just read history and understand that things change quickly. And you can wake up one day and these markets could be completely out of control. And again, this is why it's imperative to be having real assets, to have security, to have a mental mindset, to be getting right with God, to be getting in better physical shape. This is not the end of the world, but we are going to see major events taking place that are going to change the world, that are going to change the future for a lot of people, that are going to change people's environments. And right now is the time to be getting ready, to be training for these events that are coming. So to the douchebags out there, again, these are probably the most unprepared people in the world that make comments like that. These are the most uneducated people. These are the people that have, faith in the system that's been lying to them for decades. Reality is coming to America. Reality is coming to these markets. And when it does, it's going to be a life-changing experience for the masses. Don't do what the masses do. The masses will lose. Do what the 1% do. Be your own central bank, be your own security, and be ready. God bless you guys. Talk to you very soon.